it appears Aaron Johnston just rolls out of bed and wins Summit League titles and Summit League games. We know it's not that easy. What are the challenging things that people may have no idea what you go through, even though most days, most weeks, you're waking up knowing you've got the upper hand?
I just think our job is so dynamic. I wish it were like the same. I wish we could just say, okay, every year, here's our cookie cutter plan. We just plug this in and we go, and we just the challenges of the job change so much. Now you've got, transfer portal, you got NIL stuff, you've got different other factors in recruiting that we didn't deal with even 3 or 4 years ago. You've got injuries, you've got people come back from injury, you got new rosters. It's just a dynamic job. It never feels the same. So no, I don't feel like we just wake up out of bed and roll out and win. But every day you come, it's just different problem solving, and it's not always even bad problems, but just different challenges, things you got to think about. I would say what I try and focus on, the end of the day, our job is 100% a people job. How do you work with people, bring people together, develop people, keep people, move people forward? It's a people job. And yes, there's X's and O's. Yes, there's fundraising, there's budgets, there's other stuff. But even those things, you're working with people. It's a people job. And if you can make your focus be about how we develop people, keep people moving in a good direction, bring people together, I think that gives you a chance to at least be successful. But if you're not good with that part of it, I think it can be a tough job. It can get out of hand in a quick way.
Word choice and tone, so important, in coaching or in parenting, because I guess not that you need advice from me, but I still never knew how to take it. I had a guy who every now and then would coach me when I was a high school golfer, take a look at my swing. And and every time he would go through a fundamental, just say, taking it from the top down on the downswing, he would tell me what I was doing wrong. And then he would say, now a good player would do this. It was just like, hey, so I don't know, like, and you got 3 different kids you mentioned, so maybe you have to be blunt with some of them and a little softer. It's kind of like treating all your players are different too.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's trying to get a feel for what works in each situation for each person. Parenting is no different than coaching in that regards. I think the other thing is just willing to like listen and hear and almost acknowledge and even admit if you have to go that far, but just be aware that sometimes you do it wrong. And you have to be able to say, oh, that wasn't right. I need to figure out a different way to approach that. It doesn't even mean that it's like problematic wrong, but it just wasn't effective. It just wasn't helpful. And that's a hard thing. It's a hard thing for coaches, probably parents. I'm not speaking for all parents, but even for me as a parent, sometimes it's hard to say, geez, I got to do that differently. It didn't work out really well. In coaching, you certainly have to do that and should do that. And I think hearing and listening are really important parts of that communication process for a coach, or even for us, again, speaking just for me as a parent, trying to understand their perspective as best as possible.
I mean, this is a lot of psychology here. Was that a major of yours or a minor of yours in college? A lot of coaches go through that.
No, it wasn't. No. And maybe it should have been, but no, it is good. I just think these are things. And you know what? 15 years ago, I probably would have used different words and language. It would have been more of, here's what we're doing. Okay. And this is why we're going to do it. And this is the end of the conversation. And I just think as you kind of gain perspective and think a little differently, it's, you change, and there's nothing wrong with that.
There's been an upset here or there. The only sustained really chink in the armor, and it was a tiny one, because it was mano-y-mano, was USD for a few years there under Don Plitzowite. And did that kind of challenge, did that change or evolve any approach you have to coaching or recruiting?
I think throughout the years, anytime you feel like you've got to really be at your best to be successful, you should get better. So those stretches where we had those USD games really started when Amy was finishing up her time there before she went to Nebraska. They were getting good at that point. Dawn came in and got even better. And absolutely, those are times that I think, challenge us, to use your word, and hey, how are we going to do this? How are we going to continue to be where we need to? I think in our area, that rivalry, SDSU, USD, is the one that's always kind of talked about. But honestly, since we've been in the league, like I remember our first year in the league, Oakland was unbelievably good. Like they were really good, top 25 caliber good. Then Oral Roberts got really good. And then after that, I think it was probably Fort Wayne, Kansas City, IUPUI, Western kind of had a run in there all at different years. And then it became USD. And now it's, North Dakota's there, Oral Roberts is back there. So I always feel like I can find those kind of challenges throughout our time that have forced us to be better and change and adjust. And certainly those USD kind of years where it felt like those two teams were going at it were also the same and exciting for our fan bases because of the rivalry. So yeah, I'm someone that looks at that all the time. We go out and play Texas in our non-conference, Georgia Tech, Oregon. You get done playing those and it makes you think, geez, what do we got to do here? How do we make this better for our team? So the idea of being challenged, I love that part of it. I think that's one of the things I enjoy about coaching.